Welcome everyone to the Ordinary Council meeting of the 20th of December 2022. Before I continue, I'll just make sure Councillor Crosley that's online can see and hear me.
Thank you, Mayor. I can see and hear you.
Thank you, Councillor Crosley. Thank you, Councillor Crosley. Members of the public gallery should note that the Council records and publishes Council meetings via YouTube to enhance the accessibility of Council meetings to the broader Wellington community. These recordings are also archived and may be published on Council's website for viewing by the public or used for publicity or information purposes. At the appropriate times during the meeting, members of the gallery may address the Council, at which time their image, comments or submissions will be recorded. Members of the public who are not in attendance at the Council meeting but who wish to communicate with the Council via the online web form should lodge their questions or comments early in the meeting to ensure that their submissions can be dealt with at the end of the meeting. Please could all gallery visitors, councillors and those invited online attendees ensure that mobile phones and other electronic devices are turned off or in silent mode for the duration of the meeting. Can we please stand? We acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land, the Gunai-Kurnai people, and pay respects to their elders past and present. Almighty God, we ask your blessing upon the Wellington Shire Council, its councillors, officers, staff and their families. We pray for your guidance in our decisions so that the true good of the Wellington Shire Council may result to the benefit of all residents and community groups. Amen. Please sit down. We have no apologies. Do we have anyone with a declaration of conflict of interest? No. Can I have someone to move item 3.1, adoption of minutes of previous council meeting? Councillor Wood.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that council...
Councillor Wood, have you got your microphone on?
Sorry. I move that council adopt the minutes and resolutions of the ordinary council meeting of the 6th of December 2022.
And can I have someone to second that? Councillor Ripper. Is that motion opposed? If not, that motion is carried. Happy with that, Councillor Wood?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Item 4, business arising from previous meetings. There are none. Item 5, acceptance of late or urgent items. There are none. Item 6, notices of motions. There are none. Item 7, there are no petitions to address. We're doing the one that's there on the 7th of February. Item 8, any invited addresses, presentations or acknowledgements? No. Okay, I have one. Yesterday we were invited to a big announcement that was down at in front of the Seaspray Surf Lifesaving Club on the boardwalk. It was the Gippsland offshore wind announcement. People might want to ask why and how and who was there. We actually had the Minister for Climate Change and Energy, Chris Bowen, we had the Minister for Industry and Science, Ed Husick, and the Victorian Minister for Climate Action and Minister for Energy and Resources, Lily D'Ambrosio, all travelled down to the best part in Australia, down to the 90 Mile Beach to do a big announcement. What they announced is that officially this is the #1 zone for offshore wind farms in Australia. Which is fantastic. We had an inkling this would happen with being the first zone a while ago, but it's now official. We thank the three ministers for making a long track turn here to actually make that announcement. They also announced that Star of the South, which is probably the leader in offshore wind farms, have done so many years and years of advocating and research to potentially have a wind farm licence. They were allocated a provisional wind farm licence, which is fantastic. There was also an announcement that there will be no wind farm 10 kilometres or closer, no towers to the shore, so they must be 10 kilometres from shore. And the announcement of the actual area was confirmed. It was also announced that from January through to April, there is other submissions are welcome from other proponents to have other wind farm providers in Bass Strait in that designated area. So we welcome the announcement. It was fantastic to do that. Speaking to the ministers that were down, it's great that we've got all this renewable energy in Wellington and Greater Gippsland. but it's also a lot of jobs, a lot of infrastructure that needs to be done. So I've reached out to the federal and state ministers already to say it's great to have this in our backyard and we really embrace it, but we will need a hand because we need more houses, more industrial estates, more childcare. There's a lot of work now that the Wellington Shire must undertake to make sure that this transition does actually happen. But a great announcement, and thank you to the ministers for doing that in our prestige 90 Mile Beach. Item 9, questions on notice. There are none. Item 10.1, Mayor and Councillors Report, November 2022. Do we have someone to that? Councillor Wood.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor. I move that the Mayor and Councillors Report be noted.
And can I have someone to second that? Councillor Marr. Is that motion opposed? If not, that motion is carried. Councillor Wood.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll just mention a few of the things that the Mayor and Councillors attended. On the 3rd of November, the Mayor and the CEO met with Shell Australia regarding a wind project briefing. On the 5th of November, Councillor Stevens met with Star of the South at Yarram Secondary College. 7th of November, Councillor Ripper attended the Hayfield Resource Centre AGM. A big one was on the 10th of November. Mayor By, Councillor Marr, Stevens and Mackenzie attended the Warmer Pool for Yarram official opening, and that was very well attended, I believe. And let's see what else. 10th of November, we also had a community bus meeting at Yarram Neighbourhood House. The 11th of November, Sale RSL Remembrance Day commemorative service, and that was Mayor By and also Councillor Stevens and Mackenzie. 13th of November, a celebration of women's ministry at St Paul's Cathedral in Sale. Councillor Ripper attended. On the 22nd of November, TAFE Gippsland Board meeting and dinner. Councillor CEO and Mayor By attended that one. We also had community conversations on the 29th of November and visited Southern Rural Water, Hussey & Co, Gippsland Dairy and Mathco Brewery. That was very well attended, and Mayor By, Councillor Stevens, Councillor Marr, Councillor Ripper and Councillor Taddison attended. So that was a particularly busy time for all of the councillors and the Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wood. Item 11.1, Youth Council Mayor's Report. If I could have someone to move that. Councillor Wood.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that Council receive the Youth Mayor's quarterly report.
And someone to second that? Councillor Ripper. Is that motion opposed? If not, that motion is carried. Nicola was going to attend, so if she does come later in the meeting, we'll give her the opportunity to read out her report, but would you like to make some comments, Councillor Wood?
In October this year, Youth Council held an annual positive mental health festival, Upswing. This initial plan was to hold the event along Canal Road, but the forecast of bad weather that we've had recently stopped that. But it was a particularly good event. There were, as mentioned in her report, more than 25 and more young people, 15 to 25 years, that at any other previous event had gone to that, which was just wonderful.
Fantastic.
And in her last report, she shared Youth Illustrated, which was an online zine that that Young Council designed, and they're soon to publish. So that's about all really for me, I think, Mayor. I'd like to wait and see if Nicola does come and she can read it out later.
Thank you, Councillor Wood.
Thank you.
Item 13.1, the Chief Executive Officer's Report, November 2022. Have someone to move that?
Thank you, Mayor.
Councillor Ripper.
I'd like to move that the Chief Executive Officer's report be received.
And someone to second that? Councillor Stevens. Is that motion opposed? If not, that motion is carried. Councillor Ripper.
Thanks, Mayor. CEO attended on the 10th of November morning tea with the Port Albert Maritime Museum Committee, the 11th of November meeting with Bronson Justice General Manager, JLT Public Sector, Councils, Insurers, and that same day attended Latrobe Valley Authority stakeholder consultation, local government with other Gippsland councils and representatives of KPMG, and 15th to the 8th of November attended the local government Chief Officers Group meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ripper. Item 14.1, Assembly of Councillors. Can I have someone to move that, please? Councillor Crosley.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that Council note and receive the attached Assembly of Councillor record for the period 28th November 2022 to the 11th of December 2022.
And can I have someone to second that? Councillor Marr. Is that motion opposed? If not, that motion is carried. Happy with that, Councillor Crosley?
Yeah, happy, nothing to speak.
Thank you. Item 14.2, adoption of the 2023 Council policies. Someone to move that, please. Councillor Marr.
I move that Council revoke the existing 2022 Council policies and adopt the updated 2023 Council policies as attached.
And can I have someone to second that, please? Councillor Stevens. Is that motion opposed? If not, that motion is carried. Councillor Marr.
Oh, thank you, Mayor. The Local Government Act specifies a number of legislated policies that are required and to be reviewed annually. Other policies are required for strategic and operational purposes that they also are reviewed. In the attachments, there's a table of changes that have been made to the policies, and there's a collated list of all the reviewed and updated policies. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Councillor Marr. Item 14.3, Audit and Risk Committee minutes. Councillor Stevens.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to move that one, Council receive and note the minutes in brief of the Audit and Risk Committee, 28th of November 2022 as attached. The confidential attachment Audit and Risk Committee minutes of 28th of November 2022. And two, Council approve the suggested amendments to the Audit and Risk Committee Charter and terms of reference. And point three, as set out in the agenda. Thank you,
Can I
Mayor.
have someone to second that, please? Councillor Wood. Is that motion opposed? If not, that motion is carried.
Yes,
Councillor
thank you,
Stevens.
Mayor. The meeting of the 28th of November was fairly long, I must admit, and involved. And I suppose one of the points really that needs to be brought to the attention of Council is in point two, the revised amendments to the Audit and Risk Committee Charter. This was actually quite unusual because I think the last couple of times we've reviewed, because we do an annual review of the Audit and Risk Committee Charter, and from my recollection, the last couple of years we've had no changes at all, but there was quite a long discussion and quite a number of amendments to the draft charter on this occasion. I think the majority of which were actually raised by our independent members, who I must say do an excellent job of being on our Audit and Risk Committee. So I thank them for their service, and I just conclude by thanking Councillor Mackenzie for his involvement with Audit and Risk Committee and his service, because of course he has stepped down from his role as a councillor on that committee and will be replaced by Councillor Marr. So welcome, Councillor Marr, and thank you very much, Councillor Mackenzie, for your input, because I think we've been very fortunate over the time that I've been on council and been on the Audit and Risk Committee to have a quite excellent committee who have been very involved. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor T. I'd just like to point out that Councillor Mackenzie is now the alternate, and I have stepped down as the alternate. And being part of the Audit and Risk Committee previously, it was quite good to attend some meetings and see how it actually does occur. So well done to the Audit and Risk Committee. Item 15.1, Quarterly Strategic Land Use Planning Update Report, Quarter 4 2022. Someone to move that, please. Councillor Marr.
I move that Council receive the fourth quarterly update on the Strategic Land Use Planning Work Program included in attachment, planning projects and amendments to this report.
And someone to second that, please. Councillor Tatterson. Is that motion opposed? If not, that motion is carried. Councillor Marr.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll give a brief overview of what is attached. I won't speak to North Sale as that is a motion later in this meeting. However, the West Sale and Warwick Industrial Land Strategy, which is the technical report preparation, cultural heritage reports have been completed with the remaining suite of technical reports to be advanced. The completion of all technical reports will allow for a development plan to be prepared and guide the future layout of the West Sale Industrial Precinct, which we are all certainly looking forward to with what is taking place in Wellington Shire with regard to renewables and so forth. The MAFRA structure plan implementation, the background work is currently underway to prepare the strategic justification required to support the formal introduction of the structure plan into the Wellington planning scheme. The formal planning scheme amendment process will commence in early 2023, with background work also continuing on the preparation of the funding mechanism. And that is certainly a very important piece of work. The Council is looking forward to moving forward with regard to the lack of residential lots and so forth that we are striking at this time. The Wellington Growth Management Economic Development Strategy. The purpose of this is to develop a Shire-wide land use planning framework that directs future urban growth, and it focuses on the growth potential of the 6 main urban hubs within the Wellington Shire. A project brief has been developed with funding sources currently being explored to help fund this strategy. The funding and procurement of the public infrastructure works policy. This is basically forward funding of key development infrastructure, which will better expedite growth in the greenfield sites across the Shire. It was formally adopted on the 3rd of May 2022, and an implementation of this policy is subject to the outcome of current funding bids, which has been currently lodged with the National Housing Infrastructure Facility Fund. So hopefully in the new year we'll certainly see how we go with that. The Renewable Energy Impact and Readiness Study, this is a high priority to the Shire, with the primary focus of the study to determine the readiness of key towns in the southern area with regard to servicing and supporting the new renewable energy projects that have been proposed. The final report is to be presented to Council in early 2023, and I'm sure I can agree that we're all certainly looking forward to seeing what this report has within it. And then we have C114, rezoning of the east of Cobain's estate. This is subject to finalisation of several outstanding matters that have been raised by statutory authorities. So a request for authorisation is currently pending further review prior to approval and subsequent public exhibition. However, the other 2 private planning scheme amendments, C115 and C116, both authorisation is being received with public exhibition to occur between the 1st of December and the 20th of January 2023. So that will certainly be good to get that out into the public domain and await that feedback. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Marr. Item 15.2, monthly planning decisions, October 2022. Someone to move that? Councillor Tatterson.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that Council note the report of recent planning permit trends and planning application determinations between 1st of October and 31st of October 2022.
And can I have someone to second that, please? Councillor Marr. Is that motion opposed? If not, that motion is carried. Councillor Tatterson.
Thank you, Mayor. I note from the report there's been 51 planning decisions made over the month, which again shows our staff continue to deal with large numbers of applications, and it's outstanding result for the Shire that ensures that development continues to happen, and it reinforces the need of the structure plans of all our towns to ensure that we have got the availability of space, because the number of decisions being made indicate that our building requirements and planning requirements are still really high. So congratulations to our planning staff on completing 51 decisions over that month.
Thank you, Councillor Tatterson. Item 15.3, Quarterly Building Report, July to September 2022. Someone to move that, please. Councillor Tatterson.
Thank you, Mayor. I note that Council note the report of building permits issued from the 1st of July 2022 to the 30th of September 2022.
And can I have someone to second that? Councillor Stevens. Is that motion opposed? If not, that motion is carried. Councillor
Thank you. 319 building permits have been issued worth over $41 million, which is an outstanding amount of work, and it really shows that all our trades continue to be kept busy right across the Shire. The permits have been issued from right through. Most of the towns have had a number of building permits issued, which is outstanding for our towns, and shows that we are continuing to develop at a fairly fast rate, and certainly faster than what pre-COVID had been predicted. So we need to continue to work hard to keep in front of the ball game from a planning and building point of view, and good luck to all those trades out there, and keep busy in the new year.
Thank you, Councillor Tatterson. Item 15.4, North Sale Infrastructure Funding Arrangement, the final report. Can someone move that? Councillor Marr.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that Council adopt the North Sale Infrastructure Funding Arrangement Final Report November 2022 as attached.
And can I have someone to second that, please? Don't all jump up. Councillor Stevens. Is that motion opposed? If not, that motion is carried. Councillor Marr.
Thank you, Mayor. I think we were scaring the planning team for a minute. Look, this is a really important piece of work. The North Sale Development Plan was formally adopted in April of 2018 by Council, and where highly fragmented land ownership exists, as is the case with this piece of land being approximately 294 hectares of land, the best practice is the provision of a contribution scheme. So the North Sale Infrastructure Funding Arrangement Final Report is attached to the agenda, and it's been prepared by Mesh Planning Consultants and seeks to equitably apportion a range of infrastructure that's required to meet the needs of the North Sale growth area. Infrastructure contributions are payments or works in kind provided by developers towards the provision of infrastructure and based on the net developable hectare rate, which provides a holistic approach, particularly as it focuses on higher needs such as new roundabouts and drainage retention basins, which is certainly needed in that area. Targeted consultations have been undertaken with landowners in the North Sale growth area, with 3 written submissions having been made. Summaries are further detailed in the agenda background notes around key issues. However, it is worth noting that changes include 40% apportionment of the cost of drainage basin DR05, with 60% of the cost recognised as existing development. Valuation of land has significantly changed when compared to pre-COVID levels, so adjustments have been made accordingly, and minor changes to adjustments of the area that is to be used by the Baptist Church for development. It's important that the North Sale growth area remains affordable to develop. Therefore, Council certainly has some skin in the game and has excluded costs associated with the upgrade of the North Sale retarding basin DR11, costs which will be borne by Council. The land value for future drainage basin DR06 and planning costs incurred by council have also not been added. The existing developments of Cabanes and Glenhaven Estates have also not been included in the infrastructure funding arrangement. Section 173 agreements will be utilised to secure legal agreements at the time of development as per the Planning and Environment Act. However, final infrastructure requirements and contributions are yet to be negotiated on a case-by-case basis, recognising that subdivision approvals and infrastructure requirements are still needed to be negotiated going forward. Lastly, this has been many years of hard work that apparently commenced way back in 2015, which was before many of us were councillors. But what it does highlight is that good planning takes time, and to do this you certainly need a good team to do it. A big thank you to the planning team under General Manager of Planning, Brent McAllister. However, a special mention goes to Barry Hersey, the Manager of Land Use Planning, for his continued work and dedication on this matter. Also, a commendation needs to go to Mesh Planning for their work, and that certainly deserves acknowledgement, so we say thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Maher. I'd like to also reiterate the same. It's an amazing piece of work that has been completed, and it's a piece of work that the Wellington Shire can use in the future for other towns, like we have done with North Sale. So again, as Councillor Maher said, great piece of work. Congratulations to the team. Item 15.5. Introduction of a 24-hour cat curfew. Can I have someone to move that, please? Councillor Ripper.
Thanks, Mayor. I'd like to move 1. Make an order under Section 25 of the Domestic Animal Act 1994, namely requiring all owners of a cat to keep that cat securely confined at all times to the owner's property or where they are being kept for the time being, unless effectively contained or controlled, and not allow the cat to wander at large outside the owner's premises or where they are being kept for the time being. This order covers all areas of the municipality. 2. From the date of the order being in effect for a 6-month period, that there will be an amnesty where fines for breaching this order will not be issued, rather warnings and educational information provided to cat owners. 3. Approve the publishing in this order of the Victorian Government Gazette, Council's website and local newspaper, also stating the objective and effect of this order, including the 6-month amnesty period.
Can I have someone to second that? Councillor Crosley. Is that motion opposed? If not, that motion is carried. Councillor Ripper.
Yeah. Thanks, Mayor. In 2021-25, the Domestic Animal Management Plan, the DAM Plan, Wellington Shire Council resolved to conduct a review of cat containment rules with a view to considering the introduction of a cat curfew. 17th of October 2022, the 24-hour cat curfew proposal was released for public consultation via the Your Wellington Your Say website. The plan was published in local newspapers and on council website. Public submissions were invited in the form of a short survey. Council received 1,628 submissions to the proposal, of which 68% were in support of the introduction of a cat curfew and 32% were against. So 32% were against. The proposed 24-hour cat curfew was advertised as being available for public comment from the 17th of October to the 7th of November 2022, and Council received and considered submissions at a workshop on the 15th of November 2022. So it is proposed that a 6-monthly amnesty be put in place while an advisory and educational campaign is promoted aimed specifically at cat owners. The amnesty essentially pushes back the enforcement. This enables Council to adequately communicate to new curfew requirements to cat owners and residents and allow for further messaging to go out in the pet registration renewable letters. They will be sent out in February 2020 for payment in April 2023. I'll go back a step, to be sent out in February 2023 for payment in April 2023. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Ripper. Item 16.1, Special Charge Scheme, intention to declare the Longford Central Township. Someone to move that, please. Councillor Tatterson.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that Council commence the statutory process under the Local Government Act 1989, the Act, to declare a special charge scheme for the purposes of constructing certain streets within the Longford Central Township, being those streets listed and shown on the plan which is attached to and forms part of the proposed declaration of Special Charge Scheme 2203, and provision of ancillary works including drainage and vehicle crossings, and items 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 as written.
No, we can't do that, Councillor Tatterson. We've got to do item 4. You can do item 2 and 3 as written, but we must do item 4.
Item 2 and 3 as written. Item 4, Council appoint 3 councillors as determined by Council plus an alternative representative to form the Longford Central Township.
So, Councillor Tatterson, can we just go back and appoint the 3 councillors in that motion? So, yes. Council appoint 3 councillors being Councillor
Tatterson, Councillor Mackenzie and Councillor Bye, with the alternate being Councillor Marr.
Thank you, Councillor Tatterson.
And item 5 and 6 is written.
Thank you very much. Do you have someone to second that? Sure. That was nearly a dead heat, but I think we'll go with Councillor Rossetti. Thank you very much. Is that motion opposed? If not, that motion is carried. Councillor Tatterson.
Thank you, Mayor. Hopefully this is a great outcome for the Longford Township, the opportunity to have some of the unsealed streets within the township sealed. Council's recently completed a number of streets out in the Longford Township, and we hope to see the sealing of these streets really improve the amenity out there, and I'm sure that once those are done, other owners will look forward to the opportunity to participate in Council's road and street construction program.
Most certainly. Thank you, Councillor Tatterson. Item 16.2, Special Charge Scheme, intention to declare Allen Avenue Seaspray. Can someone to move that?
I'd like to move.
Councillor Tatterson.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that Council commence the statutory process under Local Government Act 1989, the Act, to declare a special charge scheme for the purposes of constructing Allen Avenue from Chainage 0 to Chainage 450 and Davis Street from Chainage 350 to 470 in Seaspray, and the provisions of improved road drainage, including vehicle crossings and culvert from the edge of the road to the building line, and item 2 and 3 is written. And Council appoint 3 councillors, namely Councillor Tatterson, Councillor Mackenzie, Councillor Bye, and an alternative representative being Councillor Marr, to the Allen Avenue Special Charge Scheme Submissions Committee, and the rest as written 4, 5 and 6.
Thank you, Councillor Tatterson. Can I have someone to second that, please? Councillor Wood. Is that motion opposed? If not, that motion is carried. Councillor Tatterson.
Thank you, Mayor. Seaspray Town also has a number of unsealed streets, and while it's disappointing that council officers attempted to do a full town-wide street construction, that was unsuccessful, but it is terrific that this Allen Avenue and Davies Street has had enough support to see these roads constructed. And I'm sure that when the rest of the town folks see the construction of these streets and the improved amenity, the reduction in dust, the creation of improved riding surfaces for cars and cyclists, improved road safety and access and egress from properties and road surface drainage, I'm sure that the rest of the town will realise they've missed the opportunity and hopefully come forward and we'll see further road and street construction sealing within the town of Seaspray. But for the time being, Ellen Avenue and Davis Street hopefully progress forward towards street construction.
Thank you, Councillor Tatterson. Item 16.3, Seaspray Levee Bank Upgrade Works. Someone to move that, please. Councillor Marr.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that Council adopt the recommendations contained in the attached confidential tender evaluation report of the Council meeting agenda for contract 2023-037 Seaspray Levee Bank Upgrade Works, and paragraph 2 is read.
And someone to second that, please. Don't all jump forward. Thank you, Councillor Wood. Sorry, Councillor Crossley, just missed you. Is that motion opposed? If not, that motion is carried. And before I head back to you, Councillor Marr, I'd like to announce the successful tenderer as McAllister Earth Moving Pty Limited. Congratulations, Councillor Marr.
Thanks, Mayor. A flood study was conducted in 2016 by the West Gippsland Catchment Management Authority, and in 2019 funding was received through the Natural Disaster Resilience Grant Scheme to undertake detailed design of a levee bank upgrade, and that was in the I think that was approximately $80,000. The Wellington Shire has obtained further funding to implement works of $1.06 million from the Black Summer Bushfire Recovery grants, and those works will increase the wall height by approximately 300 millimetres along 4.3 kilometres of its length. And this was done primarily to minimise the flood risk to the community of Seaspray. So the tender has been advertised, evaluated and prepared for our consideration today, and residents have also been notified. So we certainly thank Council for their action on this matter.
Thank you, Councillor Marr. Item 16.4, Pavement Repair Works and Panel Tender. Someone to move that, please. Councillor Ripper.
Thanks, Mayor. I'd like to move that Council 1 receives and considers this report, all attachments pertaining to this report, and 2 accepts the schedule of rates for pavement repair works for a 2-year term, with 2 extension options of 12 months to be made available solely at Council's discretion, as outlined in the confidential attachment and as submitted by Super Sealing Proprietary Limited, Tibber Bond Proprietary Limited, Cranes Asphalting and Bitumen Sealing Proprietary Limited, McGuinness Earth Moving Proprietary Limited, Fowler's Asphalting Proprietary Limited, and paragraph 3 is read.
And can I have someone to second that, please? Councillor Marr. Is that motion opposed? If not, that motion is carried. Councillor Ripper. No, we don't need to announce because it's just a panel of preferred people.
Council provides, just some background, Council provides road services across the entire municipality. Pavement Repair Works contract seeks to establish a panel of suitably qualified private contractors, suppliers for sealed road pavement repair works, including rehabilitation, asphalt deep lift, regulation and crack sealing. Successful tenders are to be included in a panel contractors to provide civil pavement repair works to all locations within the Wellington Shire.
Thank you, Councillor Ripper. Item 16.5, Capital Works Adjusted Budget November Update. Someone to move that, please.
Yes,
Councillor
Mayor.
Stevens.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to move that Council approve changes to a 2022-23 adopted Capital Works budget of $43,608,240, resulting in an adjusted Capital Works budget of $49,424,286, as described below. 1. Approve the budget changes to the current adjusted Capital Works budget 2022-23 as shown in attachment 1, and 2. Remove projects that are to be deferred or removed for reasons as per attachment 2.
And someone to second that, please. Councillor Tatterson, I think, caught my eye first. Is that motion opposed? If not, that motion is carried. Councillor Stevens.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. As part of our annual budget process, we obviously adopt a Capital Works budget, and the Council is required, as per the statutes, to formally amend the budget where necessary. And this, in this case, there are two attachments, one showing changes to costs and also attachment 1, and attachment 2 shows projects that have been deferred for various reasons. There are 6 projects in particular in that category. So this is fairly just a formal process that we have to publicly approve, and thank you, Council, for your support.
Thank you, Councillor Stevens. Item 16.6, Aqua Energy Redevelopment. Someone to move that, please. Councillor Tatterson.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that Council adopt the recommendations contained in the attached confidential tender evaluation report of the Council meeting agenda for Contract 2023-029 Aqua Energy Redevelopment and not award a contract at this time, and the information contained in the confidential attachment Contract 2023-029 Aqua Energy Redevelopment and designated as confidential under Section 3(1) Confidential Information of the Local Government Act 2020 by the General Manager, Built and Natural Environment on the 6th of December 2022 because it relates to the following grounds. G2, private commercial information being information provided by a business, commercial or financial undertaking that, if released, would unreasonably expose the business, commercial or financial undertaking to disadvantage. Be designated confidential information under Section 3(1) Confidential Information of the Local Government Act 2020, except that once this recommendation has been adopted, the name of the successful tenderer can be made public. However, there is no successful tenderer, so just ignore that last bit. Thank you.
Thank you for picking that up, Councillor Tatterson. Someone to second.
Sorry, Matt. So just to be clear, and I apologise, Councillor Tatterson, you're absolutely right. So that very last sentence up to the Local Government Act 2020, full stop, except that once this recommendation will remove that. If that you're happy with that, Councillor Tatterson?
I'm happy with
Thank
that.
you for picking that up.
Thank you, CEO.
Someone to second that. Yeah, but I had a raise of Councillor Mackenzie first, I think. Is that motion opposed? If not, that motion is carried. Councillor Tatterson.
Thank you, Mayor. I guess not awarding a contract is not Council's preferred option. However, given the current climate and the lack of interest that is shown, it's prudent that we look at how we can procure this project to ensure that we achieve best value for our ratepayers. So while it's a challenge to go out to the market and then not award, in this case, the council have decided to not award a contract, and we'll look forward to progressing this project sometime in 2023.
Thank you, Councillor Tatterson. Item 16.7, proposed sale of road and land 28 Desailly Street in Sale. Someone to move that, please. Councillor Mackenzie.
Thank you, Mayor. I wish to move that 1, pursuant to Section 114 of the Local Government Act 2020, Section 2061, including Clause 3 of Schedule 10 and Section 223 of the Local Government Act 1989, Council resolved to advertise its intention to discontinue and to sell the road reserve abutting the rear of 28 Desailly Street in Sale by private treaty, and 2, Council place a public notice of the proposal in the local newspaper and serve a copy of the notice on abutting property owners and statutory authorities, and 3, Council appoint 3 councillors, being Councillor Mackenzie, Councillor Bye, Councillor Stevens, plus an alternative representative being Councillor Marr, to form the Road Discontinuance Committee, 28 Desailly Street, that is to establish by Council under Section 2231B I of the Local Government Act 1989 to consider written submissions or objections and to hear any persons who in their written submission under Section 223 of the Local Government Act 1989 have requested that they be heard in support of their submission or objection, and point 4, in the event of no objections, Council resolved to discontinue the road abutting the rear of 28 Desailly Street Sale and place the notice in the Victorian Government Gazette, and 5, Council authorises Chief Executive Officer to sell the land to the abutting property owner at no less than current market value in accordance with the confidential attachment, and Wellingtonshire Council Policy 3.3.5-sale, exchange and acquisition of land, and to sign and seal any documents to facilitate the transfer of land. Thank you, Mayor.
Someone to second that? Councillor Marr. Is that motion opposed? If not, that motion is carried. Councillor Mackenzie.
Thank you, Mayor. The owners of the property at 28 Desailly Street Sale have made application to Council regarding a proposal to acquire the abutting road reserve at the rear of their property and for them to purchase this land and include it in their property. The road reserve is a non-maintained road under Council's road management plan and acts as a driveway, providing the only formal vehicular access to the rear of both 28 Desailly Street and 119 Raymond Street. There is also a rear abutment to 123 Raymond Street. These three properties are held by the same owner. So it makes logical sense to sell this parcel of land. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Mackenzie. Item 16.8, Port of Sale Moorings Upgrade. Someone to move that, please.
Thanks, Mayor.
Councillor Rossetti.
I move that Council adopt the recommendations contained in the attached confidential tender evaluation report of the Council meeting agenda for contract 2022-081 Port of Sale Mooring Upgrade, and 2, the information contained in the confidential attachment contract 2022-081 Port of Sale Mooring Upgrade, and designated confidential in section 3.1 Confidential Information Local Government Act 2020 by the General Manager, Built and Natural Environment on 9th December 2022, because it relates to the following grounds: GII, private commercial information being information provided by a business, commercial or financial undertaking that, if released, would unreasonably expose the business, commercial or financial undertaking to disadvantage, be designated confidential information under section 3.1 Confidential Information of the Local Government Act 2020, except that once this recommendation has been adopted, the name of the successful tenderer can be made public.
And do I have a seconder? Councillor Marr. Is that motion opposed? Opposed by Councillor Tatterson. So that motion is not carried yet. Councillor Rossetti, would you like to speak?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Mayor. The Port of Sale Master Plan was adopted by Council back in October last year, which included an upgrade to the moorings on the west bank of the port, which we can see out the window here. It included new mooring piles, provision of finger jetties, and the construction of seawall with shared paths to cater for the existing leased moorings and to provide improved public space and pedestrian movement around the canal edges. You'll note that this particular tender is only for the design and construction of mooring poles, finger jetties and seawall only, and not the other elements of the master plan. It's fair to say there was some issues on the way through, as we heard with previous with the Aqua Energy motion a little while ago. So this, what we would have liked to have done has been pared back. It's fair to say that there's many views around the council table, so it's not a surprise that this motion hasn't sailed through, and we'll see how the discussion goes. But it is a paring back to what I think are the critical elements of the master plan, which can still be built on later on. Because essentially, if we were just to do work for the boating fraternity, important as it is, I would always prefer to see the work being done for the broader public, and so building something now that enables us to improve the public spaces and pedestrian movement around the canal edges, i.e. the seawall, is a really critical part. Most of our, well, in fact, many of our public spaces work by doing the individual elements properly, so you can build on them later on. Thinking of the Lake Guthridge, Lake Guyot kind of areas to start with are areas where one bit's been done properly and then it's been built on with another and another and another. The Botanic Gardens, we've just seen the Sensory Garden open there, and that's all building on the great work being done by doing each section properly on the way through. Those old enough to remember out here at the Port of Sale will remember it was back in the days when there was an artesian bore there where the water would flow out quite naturally there. It was a pretty ordinary spot. In fact, it was really the bottom end of Sale if one was to expose oneself out there. Whereas now we've actually turned the focus around. If you look out there now, that with the Port of Sale building facing that area, and to see one half of the side of the swinging basin being having had a lot of work done on it. It's clearly now time to start thinking of what we do with the other side. And while this tender and proposal wasn't doing fully what we would have liked to have done in one hit, given the current circumstances with quotes and tenders. I think it's actually still doing it properly, but it's actually a good step to take. Thank you.
Councillor Maher.
Thank you, Mayor. I see the Port of Sale master plan as a strategic plan that will ensure a future direction for a key part of Sale, and this precinct is certainly that. The upgrade of the works that have been proposed primarily address the OH&S concerns, risk hazards and liability issues, as well as bank stabilisation that we are aware of. And I think that going forward, this proposal is addressing the duty of care that we have to users of that space, as well as our future councils that will sit in these seats and look out these windows and maybe want to progress the master plan that we have put together in the future. And I think that this is a forward future document that we need to establish the foundations of, and I certainly support the motion as it stands.
Councillor Tatterson.
Thank you, Mayor. My understanding is the Port of Sale Mooring Access Project was initiated to improve access to moored vessels via new finger jetties and better manage risk. The project was initiated prior to the Port of Sale Master Plan. Key outcomes of the Master Plan when it was adopted in 2021 included reviewing the current Port Precinct Master Plan and particular focus on identified strategic sites to assess the extent of the Port of Sale Precinct and leverage off existing facilities in its broadest surroundings, to explore the role of the private sector in participating in achieving the full development and potential of the precinct, and explore the opportunities to activate and connect public realm and public open spaces within and around the precinct, and to formulate options arrangements for the formal management of the precinct in a coordinated and integrated manner. And a number of sites, including the West Bank, were included in the master plan. The executive summary proposed key elements to include 3 new public spaces, 2 new pedestrian and cycling bridges, and a network of walking and cycling paths that will connect the spaces and elements and link the precinct more strongly to the CBD. And I don't believe that these particular projects actually achieve that. As far as movement in the space, the precinct has good pedestrian and cycling and vehicular links to the north and east bank. The west bank, however, is isolated and deserves strong connection. A bridge and new boardwalks were identified as being about to commence, and they've been excluded from this project. So that fails to link the Port of Sale with the main port area. Other key outcomes of the master plan are not addressed in this contract. Green spaces to provide softening and opportunities for passive recreation, additional vegetation and screening of the existing boat shed. The existing car park will not become a multi-use event and parking area and will not have the connectivity to the north bank via the bridge. The mooring proposal is fairly limited and limited broad community benefit. It does not achieve the plan objectives to activate the space or connectiveness and movement for pedestrians and experience improvements. I support a reduction in the mooring project until supporting funding can be achieved to ensure the West Bank Master Plan priorities and key community benefits such as bridges and sealed parking, connectiveness and landscaping are included. I don't support the expenditure of the $2 million of rates funding with no supporting grants on what's primarily boating infrastructure at this stage. I foreshadow the following motion should the current motion be defeated, that the Port of Sale moorings upgrade scope be reduced in line with the original Boat Club preferred layout from 2018 and limited to fixed height platforms from the bank, each jetty to be serviced by each jetty to service 1 or 2 moorings and the existing moorings, piles and slipway be retained.
Do we have someone else to support the motion? Councillor Crosley.
Thank you, Mayor. I think that if we go back to the strategic plan, I think this sits squarely in it, as it's clearly stated that it should be a coordinated approach to development, and I think this is a staged process of that coordinated approach. I also think that if the council has identified a risk and we don't address that risk or mitigate the risk, we are opening ourselves up to liability, which greatly concerns me. It's been clearly identified that just looking at jetties alone and not stabilising the bank does not reduce the risk and hazard of both the OH and S concerns of people using the jetties, but also the stabilisation of the bank is required to make sure that those jetties don't get damaged and damage other structures if there's a major flood that goes through. And as we know, the risk of floods and the risk of the intensity of the floods has increased and will continue to increase. So we really need to make sure that if we've identified a risk, that we are properly addressing that risk. I also think that it's actually, the stabilising the bank and the implementation of appropriate use of that area will increase the possibility of future greening and landscaping of that process, which will increase the amenity. And I think it's also, as I say, it's a bit incongruous to have one side so well treated and then the other one basically being abandoned and left to the elements. And certainly if you walk closely through to it, you can see that it is eroded. It is very difficult to actually navigate on foot and getting off and off boats safely, but also for the general public to walk along there, which people do like to and do walk across there. It's not that, I think I timed it's about 4 minutes across the bridge and round the side there. I think it's actually, it is for the amenity of the whole community, and I think, as I say, it is a coordinated approach to the strategic plan, and I think we should be looking at a staged development, and rather than doing it half-baked and only addressing one side of the issue is not a responsible way to do the development.
Thank you, Councillor Crosley. Is there anyone else to speak against the motion? No? I would like to speak against the motion. Just a few things. Upon inspection, there's actually 39 moorings that are over the other side of the bank. There's 26 that actually have boats in, and 13 do not have boats. When you look at there's 4 examples of finger jetties that are quite well constructed. The finger jetties use the existing mooring poles to how you should with a boat, where your boat, of course, has 4 leads that go out to the poles, and you pull the boat forward and hop off the finger jetty onto your boat. So the existing poles can be utilised with finger jetties that are on example that are quite good finger jetties. It'd be a shame to take those 4 out because they are quite well built. And it's interesting how they actually link into the bank. There are numerous examples of the bank not eroding there, so I'd like to see the information that there is an erosion problem, because of those 4 quite well constructed finger jetties, there is no sign of erosion on the bank or where the jetties have actually been extended. So it'd be interesting to see that the mounting to the actual bank, how that would change with new ones and constructing a wall when the existing are quite good. So the bank erosion, I'm not quite sure if that is needed. Look, it would be great. It's $2,073,000 that is budgeted of ratepayers' money to basically provide for 39 moorings, of which 26 are occupied. It'd be interesting to see with the engineers' reports on how they're going to build the wall, because the land itself actually starts quite low to the water level and then goes up probably 10 to 15 feet to the other end. So when we construct a wall at one height, and the jetties of course would be all at one height, how that would actually work with the lay of the land and how you would actually construct a path that would be, I suppose, access friendly would be very interesting to see with what the engineers actually come up with, because there would be leading of new finger jetties up to a hill to actually go upwards from those finger jetties, in case, unless there is quite substantial earthworks that would be undertaken to rectify that problem. And with the existing trees at one end, I don't think that would be permitted. So you'd still have exiting your boat to actually go off your finger jetty, a hill to go up in any case. And down the bottom end, I assume that there would have to be a lot of fill to actually level that out from the actual wall that would have to be constructed. But look, I'm in favour of the access from the boats. There is a number of finger jetties, if you call them that have been constructed that are not safe, that need to be addressed. So I totally agree with the finger jetties is a must. I'm not sure that we have to put in new poles across the whole length, because the existing poles are getting used with the 4 finger jetties that are quite good by big boats and little boats at this stage. So to me, it's a bit of a waste to replace all those. There might be 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 that might need some attention, but I don't think the whole lot probably need to be replaced. But yeah, I am in favour of new finger jetties. There's examples of where the erosion hasn't affected existing, and they're quite old finger jetties, and it works quite well. Is there anyone else that would like to speak for? In that case, we'll now put it to... Sorry, I apologise.
No, thanks,
sorry, Councillor Rossetti, I forgot about you.
I'm happy to sum up. Look, thanks for the debate, councillors, and I'd note that the cost difference in Councillor Tatterson's foreshadowed motion is quite possibly not going to be a lot cheaper than the current tender, but we don't know because we actually haven't gone through and done that work. So I'd struggle with supporting the foreshadowed motion anyway, because in the end we'd be tying our hands to what could be a myriad of different options. But I suspect it's not going to be a lot cheaper, and it'll come with a lot less benefit and risk. That upgrade that's been suggested doesn't future-proof the project. It makes it harder to enable things like the master plan walkway to be done later on. To upgrade the basic option line of the master plan just involves rework. The jetties to the bank could continue to pose significant OH&S concerns given the various heights. There are risk hazards and liability issues with no bank stabilisation. We need to stabilise the bank, in my view. The project won't eliminate erosion concerns and provide that bank stability required for the precinct. They're not designed for floods, and I know they haven't moved in many cases now, but also there has been damage over time in that area. We do have a duty to provide that OH&S protection, and we've heard from councillors tonight the concerns that the basic option of simply putting the finger jetties out won't provide that. But we do, councillors, have an opportunity to build on the work already done without compromising work in the future to improve this public asset, and it's likely that it's not going to be costing a hell of a lot more than what the alternative options are. So I certainly urge councillors to vote yes to this tender and not choose an alternative black and gold option, which is likely to be needing to be replaced in future as later councils choose to continue the great work already done in improving that swinging basin. Thanks, Mayor.
So we'll now put the motion to a vote. Those councillors in favour? And those councillors against? So that would be 5-4 in favour. The motion is carried. Now I can announce the successful tenderer as Carter Marine Group. Councillor Rossetti.
I think we've said it all.
Oh, you don't want to talk about it? Okay. All right.
It's lovely to see the work being done right throughout our municipality. I love going down to Yarram and seeing the drainage work and the works done on the new heated swimming pool, seeing the works done on the old council chambers down there and the walkways around the rail trails. I love going to Hayfield and seeing timber memorials and those sort of areas which, were struggles to get through originally. They didn't always tick all the boxes. I love going to Stratford and seeing all that beautiful work down where the old rocket was that used to shoot up to the sky. I love seeing the tree plantings down Power Street in Maffra. Everywhere you go around the community, there's great work that council does and we can be really proud of. And I think what we're doing out here sits exactly in that same realm. Not forgetting Port Albert, of course, and we love Rudder Park down there as well. Sorry, Marcus, I almost forgot that.
Item 17.1, Aqua Energy land acquisition. Someone to move that, please. Councillor Stevens.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I'd like to move that Council authorise the Chief Executive Officer to acquire 1,520 metres of vacant land as shown on draft plan situated adjacent to Aqua Energy, currently within property 190 Foster Street Sale Community Bowls Club Inc., up to the value of $425,000 excluding GST. Acknowledging the land is required for the Aqua Energy redevelopment, including construction practices, improved amenity and services, along with future-proofing currently landlocked land parcel, including space for planned environmental sustainability initiatives and items 2 and 3 as set out in the council agenda.
And seconded by Councillor Rossetti. Is that motion opposed? If not, that motion is carried. Councillor Stevens.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. This subject land is, as indicated in the motion, currently owned by the Sale Community Bowls Club, and I'd like to thank their committee for its interest in selling this land to council. The land adjacent to Aqua Energy will help facilitate the future redevelopment of Aqua Energy and the other items and services as set out in the council motion and the report. It will help facilitate future access and will also help with parking issues, which of course, as most people realise, is quite a major issue at times in the vicinity of Aqua Energy and the Bowls Club. So this will be a positive outcome for the community, and I thank the council for its support.
Thank you, Councillor Stevens. We have no further gallery comments. Mr CEO, is there any online comments?
Yeah, just one, Mayor, and in fact it came in the day after our last council meeting. It's from Anita Muller. Question is it possible to make the main street in Sale more festive for Christmas? I think this would benefit Sale as people tend to shop and spend more over this time of year when they are in the spirit of Christmas. And Mayor and Councillors, we've already responded to Anita, just advising her of our support that we give for the various tourism and business associations in each of our towns. We specifically advised of the support we give to the Sale Business and Trades Association, so we would consider that one resolved, Mayor and Councillors. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr CEO. And seeing as there's nothing on agenda, I'd like to thank all the councillors for great 2022, all your hard work representing the community. He's well and truly thankful to the community. Mr CEO and your team, what a great team we have at Wellington Shire. I think we're probably one of the better councils in country Victoria. We go very, very well.
Thank you, Mayor. I shall pass that on to all staff. Thank you.
And I wish a Merry Christmas to everyone and a safe and Happy New Year. So on that note, I'll deem the meeting closed at 7:08. Thank you, everyone.